In this video we're going to look at how to factorise expressions using a single bracket. Now there are really three types of factorising you need to know. This is the simplest one and we're going to start with this one. So we're going to look at this expression and we're going to look for a common factor between the terms. So the term at the beginning has 3 as a factor, it has x as a factor. So any of those shared by the second term, while 3 is shared as a factor. So I'm going to write down 3 first, and this is the only factor, or it's the highest common factor that these share. So that goes outside of my bracket, and then the rest of my expression is going to go into the bracket. So to work out what goes into the bracket, I'm going to consider what I must multiply 3 by to make each of these 2 terms I started with. So what must 3 be multiplied by to make 3x? Well, x. And what must 3 be multiplied to make 12? 4. So that then gives me 3 and then in brackets x plus 4. And if you're ever not too sure if what you've done is correct, you can always expand the bracket and see if you get back to the original term, because expanding the bracket is usually a little bit simpler than the factorising. So the second question, I'm going to go about it in the same way. So is there a common factor between these two? So there's no x's in the second term, so x can't be a factor. Now 4 and 6, so I know 2 goes into both of those numbers, so 2 is my factor. Now what must 2 be multiplied to make this first expression? Well, to get the number bit I must multiply by 2, because 2 times 2 will give me 4. And I don't have any x's outside the bracket, so the x squared must have come from inside the bracket. And now I'm going to consider my second term. So what do I need to multiply 2 by to get to negative 6? Well, that's negative 3. So the third one. Now this is more complex because I have a common factor of a number. It's 2 goes into both of these, but also I've got some x's that will go into both. So I'm going to break this down bit by bit. So if I just consider the numbers, I can say that 2 is a factor. And if I look at the x's, well, the first term has x cubed, the second term has x squared, so I can take x squared as a factor. Now what must 2x squared be multiplied by to make 2x cubed? Well, I've already got the 2, so I don't need another number in here. And then what does x squared need to be multiplied by to make x cubed, or just a single x? And then I do the same for the next bit. So what must 2 be multiplied by to make negative 4? Well, that's negative 2. And what must x squared be multiplied to make x squared? Well, just 1, so I don't need to put any more x's in. And then the final example here, well, let me look at each term. What numbers are there that are a common factor? Well, just 1. So I'm not going to bother writing 1, because when I multiply by 1 it's the same as not multiplying by 1, so there's no need to put it in. So now I'm going to check the letters, and I'm going to check one letter at a time. So I'm going to check the x's first. So there's 2 x's multiplied together here, 1 x here and 1 x here. So I've only got a single x as a common factor. And if I do the same for y's, I can see I have a single y as a common factor. Now because I've started here with 3 terms, I'm going to end up with 3 terms inside my bracket as well. So let's look at this first term. What must I multiply by to get 3x squared y? Well, I've got no number here, so the 3 must be inside the bracket. Now if I look at the x's, I've got an x outside the bracket, I need x squared, so I need to multiply by another x. Y is already there, so I don't have to worry about that. And the next bit, xy to get negative 2xy, well, I need the negative 2, the x is there and the y is there. And then the last bit, well, I need the 5, I've got the x, I've got one of the y's, so it must be 5y.